Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohoes, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets. So Piers Morgan sat down with Tucker Carlson. We already showed you some of it, where Piers Morgan was unaware that NATO is an offensive organization. There's no point to NATO. And Tucker Carlson schooled him. And I loved what he said. He says, now would be the time when you admit defeat. And he didn't. He wouldn't admit it. But here is Tucker Carlson, as Kali Sehag points out. Tucker Carlson has the moral clarity that the entire liberal establishment lacks on this topic. And what topic is it? As Israel is targeting and slaughtering non-combatants, meaning women and children, in a war. They're targeting them and they slaughter them. So I think something like 70 to 80% of the people killed in Gaza were non-combatants. 70 to 80%.
Wow.
So
well, it's better than Obama's drone program, which, as you know, was 90% innocent people.
Yeah. Did you know that? Obama's drone program killed 90% innocent people. Just
worse
so you know.
than Israel.
We're actually worse than Israel.
Obama.
And so here's Tucker Carlson is correct on this and says, hey, you know what? That's actually evil. And watch what Piers Morgan says. I'll give you a spoiler. He says, is it? Watch this. Watch this.
If you're intentionally killing civilians, you probably shouldn't beat your chest and brag about it. You know, maybe you can make the
I agree
case,
with that.
Maybe
he says, he says, so Tucker says, if you're intentionally killing children, you probably shouldn't brag about it. And Piers Morgan says, oh, I agree with that part. So killing children is fine. Just don't brag about it.
Well, you can always ban TikTok to cover up your brags about it.
Just don't brag about it. Okay, here we go.
if you're intentionally killing civilians, you probably shouldn't beat your chest and brag about it. You know, maybe you can make the
I agree
case,
with that.
Maybe you make the case that we had to do it or whatever, but you should.
I agree.
You should weep, and that's evil, and you should just say it's evil. And I know it's really threatening to.
Is it evil?
Ben Shapiro to say that or whatever, but
is it evil
to kill civilians on purpose? Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Really?
Kids and children. Well, how is it not actually?
In a war?
Well, you can call it whatever you want. How is it right?
Evil, you stupid Brit.
He says to intentionally. So Tucker says to intentionally kill children and women is evil, and Piers Morgan's response is it really? Really? He says,
Isn't it, Piers?
All right, so let's see if we can listen to the whole thing through without interrupting.
If you're intentionally killing civilians, you probably shouldn't beat your chest and brag about it. You know, maybe you can make.
I agree with that.
Maybe you make the case that we had to do it or whatever, but you should.
I agree.
You should weep, and that's evil, and you should just say it's evil. And I know it's really threatening to.
Is it evil?
Ben Shapiro to say that or whatever.
Is it evil though? At that point, a sinkhole should open up and swallow him. Is it evil though? Targeting women and children. Is it evil? If that's not evil, what is? Inflating the price of your property to get a bank loan? What is evil?
Hey, let's ask ChatGPT if it's evil. Let's ask the AI if it's evil.
Piers Morgan's on the fence about what? Well, he's not even on the fence. He's not even on the fence. Piers Morgan is cool with killing children. He doesn't think that's wrong. Slaughtering children.
I thought we were better than the Al-Qaedas and the ISIS is. I thought they were so much better, the West. And we know it's evil to do that. And terror is bad.
Right.
I thought we knew that. But is it evil?
And so now watch why he says it's not evil.
Is it evil?
To kill civilians on purpose? Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Really?
Kids and children.
I mean, just the fact that that's a question. Is it evil? Is it? I'm a grown man.
To kill the guy from United Healthcare?
Is it evil?
Is that evil?
Is it evil?
I bet Piers knows that's evil.
Is it evil to target children? Target children, which is what the IDF does, because the autopsies show that the bullets came right in their head.
Yeah.
How is it not actually?
In a war?
In a war?
You can call it whatever you want. How is it right to kill women and children?
I didn't say, well, because I think there is a moral right behind you if you are literally...
To kill women and children?
If there's a world war that threatens the entire...
There's a moral right.
Dispute.
So it's okay to literally slaughter women and children, non-combatant, even target them during a war. Because it's a war. And not a world war. And that you are morally right. You have moral justification behind slaughtering women and children. So again, there's no difference between. So how is Hamas bad then? Because that was a war, and they went and slaughtered non-combatants. How is that bad? They cut the heads off of 40 babies, which they didn't. How is that bad? It's a war. It's okay. That's what he's saying. So hang on. So let's listen to the rest of it.
Threatens the entire world? Yes.
Some people killed your kids, like your 8-year-old. Like,
well,
how is
your own
that
children
morally justifiable?
Well, because actually you have to. Well, by your criteria,
it's disgusting.
Okay, it's nothing's so no war is morally justified.
I mean, I think it's pretty hard to justify. I mean, yeah, I'm
Any
sure,
war.
A pure defensive action.
Yeah, all the wars, Piers. You cunt.
But all I'm
him.
saying, look, it's all ugly. It's all hard to stomach. I've actually seen some of it up close. Super ugly.
You can say that. You can say you hate it.
May I finish?
The fact you quibble with it being morally justified.
To intentionally kill non-combatants, women and children, I think we can say that's wrong. In fact, I thought that was the thing we were fighting against.
Not Piers Morgan, because that's where the unconditional support of Israel finally leads you to slaughtering women and children is morally justified because it's a war. And the people who were justifying that before, to me personally, would say, well, look what we did in Dresden, Jimmy. Look what we did in Japan with the nuclear bomb.
And I would say,
those are called war crimes. And you know that ever since then, that's why we invented the UN, and that's why we have the Geneva Convention, and that's why we have the rules of war that say you can't do those things anymore because it's inhuman and barbaric and inherently evil. That's why we did it. So they go back to World War. Yeah, we changed after that. We realized this is unbelievable. We're all animals. We can't do that. We're supposed to be better than the terrorists. No, we are the terrorists. And so he's sitting there going, is it? He literally is asking the question, is it evil to target children and slaughter them?
Well, if it's a world war. Well, by the way, those two things that he's defending, he's thinking of Dresden and Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's when it's in his dumb jelly head while he says that. But both those hideous crimes that we didn't do those right in the beginning of the goddamn war. The war had been dragging on for some time. That wasn't our opening move, was Dresden and the atomic bomb. You understand? So to do it right up front is real sick.
So, and if a bomb came anywhere near Piers Morgan's house, he'd be squealing for his life. He'd be consistent in that he wasn't actually worried about women and children. He'd just be worried about his ascot and his sherry and his polo gear.
Well, also his brother is military, and his brother-in-law is a scumbag that was stationed there, and that's his. My brother-in-law was there, and bloop 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 NATO.
Yeah,
dude. Screw your brother. Tell your brother I said go screw yourself. I want to say the F word, but I keep trying to stop myself.
Thank you.
I hate him. I hate him.
Well, what am I saying?
When Piers doesn't have four idiots that are talking over each other, he doesn't hold up for 3 seconds. You know? He needs four people that stand there and talk over each other for him to look smart. And in one-on-one, he's not at all smart.
It must be nice having the MI6 keep your career alive when there is simply no way on earth he would be anything but an Uber Eats driver otherwise. Well, yes, I ate half your pasta on the way over here. But is it wrong? Is it? It's a war.
He would never be hired.
I know. So I tweeted out this video of him saying that. And what I said was, so yes, Piers Morgan fully endorses and wholeheartedly supports slaughtering children and women and all sorts of non-combatants. Full stop. The thing we're all supposed to be against. The thing that shocked our conscience so much during World War II that the whole of humanity changed the rules of war. Piers Morgan is for the thing that shocked our conscience. He's for that.
Right.
This is where blindly supporting Israel ends up. Morally bankrupt monsters embracing slaughtering children. With a straight face, sitting in a suit jacket, with his khakis on and his sockless deck shoes.
Yeah. It's not just Israel. He's supporting the entire British hideous empire and every crime they ever did. He's not just... Israel is being justified by the crimes that we did during World War II, which I thought everybody had to read Kurt Vonnegut in school, where Kurt Vonnegut was trapped in Dresden, and that's what Slaughterhouse 5 is about. But I guess people don't read books and stuff.
Right.
I thought that was a crime for many years just from reading that book.
So then underneath my tweet, this guy says, chairman of the board says, you always seem to gloss over how the whole effing thing started and the hostages that we're taking. He's talking about Israel. And I go,
What?
It started in 1948 with Nakba.
Yeah, what is he talking about? The raids outside the concentration camp that Netanyahu encouraged them to have, and he paid them. The terrorists that attacked them were paid for by their president.
So how do you like that for moral clarity? P.S. Jimmy Dore is the chairman of the board. And don't you forget it, punk.
Are you the chairman of the board now?
I don't know. I'm just making it up. I'm just making it up. Because that guy said he was
Sinatra was called that because he worked for the CIA.
He was saying he's the chairman of the board. I'm just coming in with the moral clarity chairman of the board.
Yeah, you the chairman is suck my dick, Rich.
So get this. Piers Morgan retweets my tweet. It offended him. And he says, try watching the actual interview in proper context when perhaps you wouldn't post, then perhaps you wouldn't post such. By the way, what context makes it cool to target children and slaughter them? There is no context.
Is it evil? A world war? That was evil.
Is it evil? Is it evil?
You fat ponce.
So
he is just a jelly. He's like everything of British private school that you would make fun of is Piers Morgan.
So then he goes on to say, try watching the actual interview in proper context. Then perhaps you wouldn't post such unutterably stupid garbage.
You did utter it. It's not. Here's what's unutterably stupid is to say, is it evil to blow kids up on purpose?
So then I just reposted what he said. To purposely target women and children, I think it's evil. Piers, is it evil? Tucker, is it evil to kill civilians on purpose? Yeah, I think it is. Piers, really? Tucker, how is it right to kill women and children? Piers, because I think there's a moral right behind you. Tucker, to kill women and children? Piers, if you're fighting a world war.
We're not, Piers.
And I said,
dumbass.
And I said to him, this is where you have to admit you said what you said because you said it, even if you don't understand how a video record of you saying it works.
Tucker said the same thing. Was he out of context sitting there in front of your dumb fat face? Was Tucker not getting the context of your idiot comments?
And the British have colonized the entire world through phrases such as inexorably mad, unfathomably dull, unutterably stupid. We live on boiled haggis. We marry our first cousins, but we're mean.
Dude, every time they try to trash Arabs for cousin marriage, I like to point out that all the Islamists you're talking bad about, they're as inbred as your King Charles. King Charles is as inbred as any Pakistani Islamist. People blame the Jews, but it's the British. It's these fat toffs. That's who's behind the whole thing. The Anglo-American world power, these scumbags. It's not the Jews. It's the Brits. And you can hear it come out of his awful... he's the biggest scumbag in the world. That's why he's backing Israel, because it supports what England did. You know that drug cartel that took over for a while? That's where their money comes from. King Charles is a drug kingpin.
So what this means when I say this is that I'm actually indicting what we did, what the Allies did in World War II, which is not going to get you a seat at the Grammys, Kurt.
No, it will not.
It will not.
It was worse than 9/11, what we did in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. That's a bigger crime. And so is Dresden. Dresden was a hideous crime that there's no excuse for. You know, how about instead of firebombing women and children to break their spirit, how about we firebomb the actual Nazis instead of saving them and bringing them to America to make America suck?
To run our science programs.
Yeah, Werner von Braun, instead of put him on Disney, why don't we burn him with fire? How about that? That would have been moral.
I mean, I've heard Piers, I've heard Piers Morgan breathlessly defend mandating experimental medical treatments, dangerous, and harmful experimental medical treatments on people. I've heard him do that. I've heard him defend the indefensible Ukraine war, which should have been over 5 minutes after it started, but NATO made them rip up the peace agreement, and now they're going to get a worse deal than they ever did after 500,000 of them got slaughtered. I've heard him do that. I've heard him defend Israel. I've heard him do lots of crazy. I never thought I would hear him look with a straight face, question whether targeting children for slaughter is it evil. Not only that, but then saying you have a moral right to do it. Like that is Al Qaeda ISIS stuff that we've been taught is Al Qaeda ISIS stuff. We've been told that.
Osama wrote it in his message to us. Osama wrote a letter of why it's okay for me to kill your women and children. And it pretty much echoed what Piers said.
What Piers just said. So again, this whole thing, again, Carl Jung could not be more than 1,000% right. So the people who scream the loudest about Hamas or about Al Qaeda or ISIS or Russia or China are just as big or bigger monsters than the people they claim to be fighting. Because what that reveals right there is that Piers Morgan is a monster in his soul. That this isn't some guy who spends all day selling hot dogs at the beach. This is a guy who for a living has been a news person and is supposed to be there to inform people. And he's like, no, you have a moral right to slaughter women and children. You do.
You don't remember Piers is the guy that was helping with the news of the world, the hacking into people's phones because that kidnapped girl? He's part of that. Remember that? Remember that big scandal, the Rupert Murdoch thing?
Well, Kurt, you have to talk about that in context.
Piers, when you say something as crazy as what you said directly to everyone's face, do you think we don't go, wait a minute, maybe I'm not getting the context? Because what you said is so insane. Of course, we all assume we didn't understand the context because who would say the thing you said?
That's
you
right.
Fat idiot.
That's
and then
right.
when we looked at the context, you were indeed saying the idiotic thing that your fat British toff mouth said. You inbred serpent race lizard person. Of course we know the context.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So he thought, so by the way, I just want to let you know, I ratioed the hell out of him on, like he got 425 likes on that. Piers Morgan, who I'm sure has way millions more Twitter followers. See how many Twitter followers he actually has.
Screw your brother and your brother-in-law too, bitch, Piers.
So I
like it's a moral authority.
So I responded to him, and you can't see it, but it's 2.6 thousand as of this airing, 2.6 thousand likes.
Yeah,
that is quite a spanking from a. What does he really think that? Did you really think you were gonna? It's on video. All I have to do is show the video.
It's Christmas pudding of a man.
He has 8.8 million.
He has 8 million followers, and all he could manage was 400 likes on that.
I want to beat his belly with a wiffle ball bat, like Keith Robbins' old joke. I want to take a wiffle ball bat and smack his belly.
So he just wants. So he's hoping that people will go, well, there's no, just like you said, there's no way Piers Morgan would just say you could slaughter women and children and target non-combatants as if it's a moral thing. It has to be taken out of context. It has
because
to be.
That's a crazy thing to say.
That's an evil thing to say. That's worse than crazy. I can handle evil. That's evil. That's evil. That's Piers Morgan, full embracing of evil.
No, the morals behind him. He has moral. When you have the morals on your side, you can kill women and children on purpose in a war. Hey, war is hell because on purpose you're going to do terrorism, is what he said.
That's right. Hey, if you're watching this show, chances are you already know the mainstream media is full of crap. They're not here to inform you. They're here to spin stories, cater to corporate overlords, and protect the establishment at all costs. So just take a look at how they covered or didn't cover leaked photos linking Joe Biden to Hunter Biden's Chinese business partners. I ran this story through Ground News, who found nearly 100 sources reporting on it, and coverage is totally lopsided. Independent right-wing outlets are all over this, calling it what it is, proof Biden's been lying. Meanwhile, everyone else is just regurgitating CNN talking points, downplaying it like it's no big deal. Ground News even lets me see how many other publications have reposted the story from CNN. Let me ask you this. If the media is bending over backwards to protect Biden's image, even on his way out, how can we trust them to cover anything fairly? Well, the answer is you can't. The only way for us to cut through this media bias is to objectively compare how the same story is being reported across other media outlets. That's why I can't recommend my partners at Ground News enough. They're the only platform not telling you what to think. They show you every angle of every news story, whether it's from corporate media, independent outlets, or voices the establishment doesn't want you to hear. They expose who's funding each perspective and if they've got a political bias. They've even have a blind spot feed to expose what the other side of the political spectrum isn't reporting on. freeing readers of any hidden agendas and political spins. And if you want to cut through the BS of mainstream media, you can save 40% today off their top-tier Advantage plan by going to ground.news/JD or scanning my QR code. If you like the show, I think you'll love that platform. Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohost, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets.